So my name is Ahamadali. I'm the pre-sales managing the Middle East region, the RMEA region for Sangfor. And today in this session, we will be talking about the cybersecurity essentials for the education as well as like schools, universities, and certain other education platforms. Where students are mostly interacting and they're trying to access certain things, and the data is again one of the very crucial things. So we'll see how firewall endpoints and the internet gateway can help to make the environment mostly the security environment more hygiene, and we can help to protect the schools to start with. Today's agenda would be about the cybersecurity challenges. We discussed few of them, just a few minutes back, and then integrating the Sangfor cybersecurity solution into digital campus. That is again very important class. Apart from that, the best-in-class cybersecurity services we will be talking, and then we will be also looking at the live demo for firewall as well as the internet access gateway. And then we'll have a short question answer in case if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. So this session would be again recorded. So I hope it will be fine with everyone. So let's start. So we'll talk about some of the cybersecurity challenges in the education sector. So education sector again, as I said, is very much into the threats and attacks, and one of the very common thing. So one of the challenges is something which is the limited IT security budgets. Definitely, school is something which does not have the business purposes. Definitely, there are students and there are administration staffs, but mostly it is accumulating those things. So there is always a very limited budget in terms of carrying out for the cyber security tools. Mostly schools are more into the education in terms of giving different platforms access. But when it comes to the cyber security, we have seen the budget is always very limited. Apart from that, the unsecured student and staff devices. Managing personal laptops, BYODs, the students bringing their iPads, their mobile devices are again very common, and again increases the risk of the breaches because they are having different applications and we are not able to monitor those BYODs. That becomes a very, very critical challenges in the school environment. Other than that, the lack of cybersecurity awareness, because school is something which is having teachers, staff, and they have different digital practices being done. We need to understand how we can give them the informations, or how we can protect or we can create the safe digital practices in terms of helping the teachers to understand which all things they should not be able to click, or the students, or to make sure that only the business requirement is being, in terms of business objectives is being achieved. Rather, most of the other things are either blocked for that, or in terms of other things, it has to be monitored. And then growing ransomware and phishing attacks, which are very common. We have seen a lot of attacks which has happened in past for the schools environment, mostly the application servers hosted for students to practice, for give online exams, for parents to access and go through all the informations about their kids. And that becomes again increasingly because it has a lot of sensitive data. So this is again one of the challenges, and the complex network structures. So school always have the hybrid environment. They have the cloud, they have on-prem, they have certain applications which are used on-prem as well as on the cloud, and then the BYODs is again very, very complex to manage. No doubt, customer has different tools like JAMF and other MDM solutions where they're trying to manage most of it, but again, it is not a full-fledged. So multiple campuses, again, the open Wi-Fi, which is very common for guests. The remote access, again, add a lot of complexity to the environment. Again, one of the very common thing which I've seen with most of the schools, mostly the traditional schools, you can say, are not having the educate security when it comes to the school labs, or when it comes to the endpoint checks in terms of antivirus, PTR, or other monitoring tools. So they either have the individual licenses, they don't have the central management, they lack with the patching most of the devices, and as well as the teachers or the students bringing their own laptops are not being protected. So all of this again adds up with a lot of challenges in terms of handling when it comes to the schools or universities, and we will see how we can manage most of it. Some of the other common attacks, apart from this, is something in terms of insufficient incident response. So the incident response plan is always important for any organization, and when it comes to the school, this is something which is always lacking. They don't have a proper plan of the incident response. If something happened, how to assess that part, who is the point of contact, whether they have their entire backup been done, or when the attack has happened, how they can recover or do a lesson learn is the important part to understand. And then the insider threat is again a very, very common part when it comes to the managing the devices, when it comes to have a secure internet access for the devices who are connecting to the internet environment is always a challenge. And this can be addressed very well when you have a complete monitoring, something like internet access gateway, which creates a different portal or different segments. Maybe whenever the user tries to access it on the guest Wi-Fi, it automatically adds to a separate VLAN, which has very limited access. The breaches, social engineering, ransomware are few of the again common challenges which is faced by the schools. To understand this, let's see how we can integrate the Sangfor cybersecurity solution into the digital campus. Now, one of the very important part, which we have seen with the schools again, the increasing of the cybersecurity threats or need of the safe internet access as well as the endpoint protection comes into the picture, and that's where Sangfor adds up the complete 360-degree. So Sangfor at the endpoint, Sangfor at the firewall, and when it comes to the internet access gateway, for whether it is a BYOD devices, it is from the school subnet, or it is coming from separate VLAN, we can monitor all of that and we can control it in terms of real-time threat detection and response. So a comprehensive security approach can be done for the schools when it comes to network, endpoint, and the application security, and with ease of integration. So from the single platform, you can manage, you can correlate now all of these solutions all together, and you can manage to detect most of the incidents. As well as we can add up additional layer of the securities in terms of incident response with the help of our MDR solution, which we will also cover in today's session. Okay, so let's see, one of the key solutions offerings Sangfor provides. So one of the key solution offering is the next generation firewall. Now comparing with most of the firewalls which are used, school environment is pretty much different. The traffics are very huge during the initial start of the school time, where the student starts connecting to their PCs, laptops, BYODs, teachers and staff starts working. The traffic becomes quite huge. And when you have different internet line, how the SD-WAN can be configured to make sure the load balancing can be done very well. All of these are very important. Apart from that, Sangfor having certain dedicated security features which can be very helpful in terms of detecting and blocking the external attacks. So network secure is something which is very important. With that, endpoint secure also play a very important role in terms of safeguarding the laptops, tablets, the mobile devices used by the student, teachers, and staff. Also, in terms of internet access gateway, can control and monitor the student internet uses as well as ensure the safe browsing. We can easily push down the certificates to the student machine. We can make sure that we do SSL decryption. We can manage to control it based on the keyword base. So if the student try to search certain things on the keyword base, we can also do that part. And then blocking of the VPN, which is very important, when it comes to the school. We can also achieve that with the help of our internet access gateway. With all of this, we can also cover the threat intel, AI, and cloud platform with the help of our managed detection and response. So MDR services can be very helpful in case if the schools are not having the security expert, or they are very limited with their staffs who can only manage the application, who can only manage the networking part. So that becomes a big challenge for them to go through everyday incidents which are coming up, or the logs and reports which are coming up. Managed detection and response is a 24 by 7 security monitoring. And with that, we also do the threat hunting services. That means the expert team, will be sitting down to monitor 24 by 7. So when the school close, in the evening by 4 or 5, after that, whatever traffic is running down, whatever incidents are running down, we can easily respond to it with the help of the expert team. and this will again help customers to achieve the complete security, as well as adding up to a threat detection and response, which is managed by the expert team directly by Sangfor. We don't take any data, we don't correlate any data. We have MDR services locally available in the UAE itself, so no data go out anywhere, and the people are always there to monitor. So solution, it's not a solution which will be doing the AI or the machine learning, or depending upon the SOAR capabilities or the predefined playbooks. Basically, it has human touch which monitors and see everything which is coming to the environment. So that's something the MDR services can cover up. We will see each one of it, one by one, to understand how it can help to protect you from most of the threats and attacks, or the emerging threats and attacks. To start with the firewall, again, the firewall cover up most of the security services like application and URL filtering, IPS, APT attack prevention, bandwidth management, routing features, capabilities, SSL VPN, site-to-site VPN if in case you have multiple location. With that, we are the only solution who is providing, the neural X, that is the cloud threat intelligence built in within the firewall. For the school environment, it is again very, very important, because relying on the signature sets is not going to help you. But to understand most of the advanced threats or something like ransomware threats, it's very important to make sure that you have the threat intel, which is with all the database, the huge database covering up with the third party as well. We will be looking at what exactly it is covering and protecting you against most of the zero-day attacks. With that, we have Engine Zero, which is our AI powered malware inspection. So malware inspection is something with all the traffic which is running down through the firewall will be inspected very well, and it will make sure that whatever CNC communications which are happening can be detected. The botnet connections can be detected and blocked by the AI powered malware inspection. Solution has inbuilt web application firewall. Now, as the schools have limited budget, and if they're publishing, certain applications where they need to have a WAF, definitely with the semantic analysis, with most of the WAF features in terms of cross-site scripting protection, cross-site forgery, SQL injection, we can cover most of it with the help of our web application firewall. IoT securities, because there are a lot of IoT devices as well within the schools. We can monitor those activities. SOC Lite, again, very important feature for logging and reporting. And then seamless integration of endpoint with firewall. That can also be achieved from the firewall perspective. That means we try to cover up everything when it comes to layer 2 to layer 7. The complete protection can be done for the school environment. Moreover, let's see some of the more benefits. So we saw the AI and the artificial intelligence and threat intel is very much important in today's environment. And that's where the most of the attacks, as it is based on AI, you need to have something which can also monitor and protect you from such kind of threats and attacks. And then some of the unique features, something like web application firewall or passive vulnerability scanning, that's again very important. That means all the, nodes which are getting connected, all the devices which are getting connected, we can try to scan down to see if there is any vulnerabilities, weak passwords and everything. And everything can be reported back to our SOCLite. SOCLite can give you a full 360-degree approach of all the traffics, all the events, what exactly the threats are getting detected, where exactly the traffic is coming through. With that, you can also integrate the endpoint. So endpoint traffic is also monitored, so you can manage to see all the malicious traffic coming from the endpoints. And if it is having endpoint secure from Sangfor, we can do the XDDR integration as well. With that, this solution comes with very cost effective, with all the securities which is given by most of the traditional firewalls. Sangfor is one step ahead, as it has the artificial intelligence and threat intel. With that, the excellent technical support. We have FAE team sitting right in the by INPZ in the HQ, which can help you to support the field engineers are again visiting customers and helping them to solve the issues. So that something adds key values to our solutions. Moving ahead, just to give you a little bit more understanding about the Engine Zero. which is our AI-based malware inspection, and NeuralX, which is our cloud threat intel. So cloud threat intel, again, it tries to take feeds from the, some of the big giants like Google, Microsoft, or talking about virus total, almost 120K devices are, globally are feeding the information. And then we try to check the IP reputation, URL reputation, file reputation, which have been accessed by the environment in terms of botnet analysis, cloud sandboxing, the engine zero activity, and deep learning. All of this adds up a very important, security features or components within your environment. So mostly the real-time unknown threat detections can be done with the help of our threat intel, while the engine zero is something which can help you to, don't rely just on the signature set, but also, it gives you additional helping hand in terms of detecting the unknown malwares. So almost the detection rates of known and unknown malware is near to the 100% with the help of engine zero. So Cloud Threat Intel feeds all of this information, and that again communicates to the Sangfor devices worldwide, wherever the Sangfor devices are. In case if you go with the premium bundle, you have the feature of Cloud Threat Intel, which can help to block almost, the billions of malware hashes are available within the database, and more than 200 million of malicious URL can be easily blocked with the help of the NeuralX. So NeuralX Cloud Threat Intel is something which is very important right now, and most of the customers still rely on the traditional firewall signature sets, which are not capable enough to protect you against most of the zero-day attacks. So that's where the Cloud Threat Intel comes into picture. And then the Engine Zero, where you have more than 500 plus malware families being trained. Also evolving the generative adversarial networks, becomes very important. And it operates right from the box. You don't have to have any kind of separate, virtual machine to run down. Everything runs down from the firewall devices itself. There is no additional training required. All the traffics again scanned down automatically by our on-premise AI-based malware inspection. So this is something again to make sure that AI makes your complete environment better and safer comparing to the zero-day threats and attacks. Coming towards the multi-layered security approach, again the traditional fails, definitely there are a lot of potentially unwanted application daily, more than 450 plus, daily, the potentially unwanted application coming down, and the MD5 or signature based, again, fall behind this malware mutation speed. Also, cloud-based check, again, not available, or sandboxing is very slow. So you have seen this with most of the firewalls. When you enable, the cloud sandboxing, when you enable a full-fledged security component, the performance of the firewall degrades. And that's where you have to get something which does not just rely on the signature sets, but also have the engine zero and cloud threat intel to complete your three-layer enabled true security when it comes to block most of the threats and attacks. So this is something, the multi-layered approach we try to provide from the Sangfor Network Secure. Other than all of this, Sangfor also helps you to monitor, find the the hidden assets, check what kind of ports and protocols are open, giving you the full threat visibility, and then one click to response. This is all something which can be consolidated very easily, and it comes with no extra license. Comparing with most of the traditional firewalls, where you need to have a reporting server or a cloud license for reporting or the additional subscription. With Sangfor, this comes, completely free. The only next generation firewall which can help you to have a SOC operation, in a lighter version, and give you a full-fledged visibility from the endpoint perspective and from the firewall perspective. You have full threat visibility. You have everything where you can see the reports, all the unidentified, the assets, the hidden risks, the ports and protocols open, and where exactly the traffic is going through. You can have the full visibility from the single platform. So Socklet also gives you the network assets to protect. Here you can see just an example, a screenshot from the asset management, where you can view all the open ports by that particular assets, and you can view whether there is anything which has been detected. So to understand more about the assets or unprotected services, or maybe certain unauthorized access been done, onto the devices. Okay. Also, the consolidating threat investigation and threat hunting can be done. So you can inspect, the thousands of logs. You cannot do that, thousands of logs manually. That's where you can consolidate all of this information to give you a very clear information rather, going through all the complex log analysis. You can have just very, very clear information about the incident, when it happened, how it happened, what was the machine name, which was the users, what kind of traffic it was, in terms of detecting or doing the reverse engineering when it comes to the ransomware threat. You can do all of that. You can search down the IP address, you can search down the ports protocols directly from the socklight console. So this gives you everything. Also, if you integrate the endpoint, you can identify the root cause. You can track down to the root cause directly from there. This is just an example how exactly, you can see the ransomware protection where all the vulnerabilities of the business assets are being detected, the number of open ports, system vulnerabilities, as well as the weak passwords, for the systems can also be detected. And then policy optimization. Now, this is something which is very important because it's a school, and definitely the IT administrators are loaded with the works. They try to create a number of policies, and these policies are again something. Some policies are just for the testing purposes. Some policies are just to create, to give certain access as a temporary access. But those are kept again open, and that's where the attackers can use these policies to run down or to communicate. And this is something which becomes very important to understand which all policies has been there, and whether it is under duplication or not. So if there are two different policies or something, when it is not working, to optimize the policies again becomes very, very important part over here. You can see the rule 2 is coming under rule 1. So that is something which is very important. So policy optimization is again the added component. You can start running down to analyze all the policies and then identify if there is any policy duplication happening. And then closed loop integration, you can integrate the threat intel via IP plus the agent ID, to understand or to identify the real client, in your DSCP environment. Now, this comes when there is a huge traffic running down on a certain machine, when there is a DOS attack or DDoS attack, from a certain environment, and you want to understand whether it is, when it is the internal machine, which is the machine, how you can run down. So you can select and do a closed loop integration directly from the SOC light. You can select the machine and do the scan immediately, or you can select to kill or terminate the malicious process. So you can go to the security, user security directly from here. You can drill down and see which machine it was, and you can specify or take the action directly. Here you can generate the agent ID information with the IP address, and from here you can take the action of malicious process kill or quick scan, full scan, directly from here. So this is where it gives you one step ahead comparing with most of the other traditional firewalls. This is where they are lacking. While with Sangfor, you can easily integrate and you can easily manage both the traffics running down from the endpoint and from the firewall perspective, to understand the severity scores and to take down the action of terminating the malicious process directly from the console itself. So you can locate the threat, they locate the resource, you can discover the threat, immediately mitigate it, and then clean. So that this is something you can achieve very well from the solutions perspective. Okay, so with this we finish our firewall. Coming to the endpoint part, definitely there are a lot of endpoint security solutions available in the market. While what we understand is customer should not only rely with the endpoint antivirus, but EDR is something which is again becoming very important. With Sangfor modern EPP, we have added, the all the functionalities of endpoint antivirus and next generation antiviruses in terms of killing the malicious process and files, and with that, in terms of investigating and remediating most of the suspicious activity, the EDR component is also included. That means you don't have to purchase two separate licenses. It is just one license, and it will include your next generation AV completely. With that, you will also have the EDR capabilities with the platform. And then again, you have the management and reportings of the endpoints, where you can do application control, asset inventory, vulnerability management, as well as complete logging and reporting from the platform. So if you see the AVs and next generation AV, so AV mostly relying on the signature set, next generation AV again having certain traditional methods as well as the AI and ML techniques in terms of detecting the process, killing the process. With that, in terms of threat hunting, threat investigations from the endpoint perspective, like APT detection, kill chain analysis, quarantining or isolating the endpoints, in terms of integrating with the MITRE attack framework, or in terms of phishing detections and auto response. When there is something which is very much suspicious, or the severity score goes high based on the behavior analysis, it will automatically take down the decisions of killing the process. So EDR component is again very, very important for this part. So Sangfor Endpoint Secure, comparing with most of the the endpoint secure solution which is available in the market, has been again outstanding because it has everything what a customer requires from the AV perspective, next generation AV and EDR perspective, all included into a single licenses. So with this all, what additional we can provide? So we can give you the complete ransomware recovery. That means if in case the ransomware breaches, for any specific reasons, maybe the system is not patched, or maybe the system was not connected, or there is some third-party systems which was, coming down within the environment, and the entire process can be detected, the malicious process can be killed, as well as in case if the ransomware infects the machine, we can recover back, very easily with the help of backup and the snapshot recovery we have. With this, the risks and vulnerability assessment, patch management comes in a single licenses. That means just for patching, you don't have to go with a separate license. Whether it is Windows patching or the application, you can do the hot fix directly from the management console. As well as we can do the seamless integration with our NDR solution, our firewall, which we have already seen in our network secure. We have that seamless integrations. So network secure and the cyber command, which is our NDR solution, as well as the improved, the detection response capabilities can be done. The killing of the ransomware with just 3 seconds to block and kill. This is something which is only with the Sangfor solutions, and make sure that it gives you the entire malware, attack chain with complete improved visibilities. Also, our Sangfor solution is again with certified, by the third parties AV test as well. These reports can also be available to all the partners and customers. In case if you're looking out for replacing, or if you are having the challenges, where you cannot cover the patching, you cannot cover the vulnerability assessment, you cannot cover the ransomware protection, Sangfor can help you out very well, because we have complete modern EPP, which is with AV, next generation AV and the EDR. Let's talk about the best-in-class ransomware protection. Now, for the endpoint secure, we have a dedicated best-in-class ransomware protection, which is based on static AI-based detection as well as the dynamic AI-based detection. So we have a honeypot. Again, the honeypot is open files, which is again used to monitor and check, the tactics and techniques used by the attackers in terms of doing the ransomware. And with that, the dynamic is something which can help you in terms of fileless attack or in-memory attack protection. That means we analyze every steps of the ransomware types. That means the 500 plus ransomware trained families, which is there with our, the AI, inspection, malware inspection, will help you to detect the attacker behavior learning. And with that, we can also make sure that different types of ransomwares can be detected. So a complete methodology in terms of classification results from file header, file section, certificates used can be analyzed with the help of our machine learning. And then the AI behavioral modeling, again, that is very, very important in terms of detecting the ransomware. That means the different types of ransomwares and their behavior learning can also be very, very helpful. And then we also have the backup and snapshot recovery, which is again very helpful in terms of breaches. So we have the 3 second skill. This is something the best in class ransomware protection provides with the help of static AI based detection and the dynamic AI based detection. Just to give you an example understanding how exactly the honeypots works, because we have seen that we do have the static AI based detection. So any kind of process which is running down, automatically it will trigger with the help of honeypot files, we can understand, the behavior. And in case if the file changes, file deletion, file modifications are happening during the same period, the process monitor will also start running down. While the process monitoring is happening, we also try to take the backups of the files. And once the malicious process tries to encrypt the file, Sangfor endpoint can detect and terminate the process. With that, we can also make sure that whatever files are backed up are ready to restore, once the file modifications are done. So with this, we try to complete, a complete 3-second kill. That is what I was explaining. And then the data recovery part, can also be done with the help of this. So this is how, the ransomware protection and recovery works from the Sangfor perspective. I have also seen there are certain other solutions which offers very similar technology, but when it comes to the recovery part, it is again very complicated. Some of them are relying on number of GBs, some of them relying on certain time period only, like 48 to 72 hours. While in Sangfor, you can recover all the modified files, whether the extensions are being changed, whether the files are getting deleted or files have been modified. You can view all the modification done directly at the machine level, select those files and revert it back to its original state. That's something we try to do it, when we try to say that backup space or backup files are happening. So this is where the ransomware protection and recovery can be done very easily from the Sangfor Endpoint Secure. With all of this, we try to also cover up, the entire platform, whether it is endpoint secure, network secure, secure internet access, the IAG, all together can be added up to provide complete protection. So IAG can give the every information. It can also help you to understand the risk alerts, and you can also do the account locking. That is also there with the IAG. We'll be seeing this particular thing in terms of cyber command. Again, a complete the NDR feature and capabilities with inbuilt SOAR. We are the only India solution which has the complete inbuilt SOAR, very helpful to detect all the anomalies at the network level. And then endpoint secure, which is detecting all the anomalies at the endpoint level. And with that, firewall, which is having all the security capabilities and policies predefined. So if you see, what all things we can respond in terms of threats detection. So if you see, the most of the threat detections can be done with the endpoint status, security logs, botnet evidence. With that, we can make sure that we can isolate the host. We can do the file isolation. You can process, terminate the processes from the endpoint perspective. From the firewall, you can block the host directly, or you can, define to block the access controls, and from the perspective of IAG, you can freeze the account. So in terms of detection and response, there are multiple platforms helping you to achieve. It does not rely just on the single platform. So that is what our extended detection, defense, and response, we say, covering up the complete 360-degree from the customer's perspective. Also, in terms of phishing mail, we can try to scan down. This is some of the very important features which will be coming up. And then phishing and web intrusion protection is also the important features in terms of detecting the phishing of the web intrusion attacks. Also, in terms of understanding the kill chain, we can cover up on automatically blocking the malicious process, and deleting the malicious files can be also achieved. So this is where you can define in the policies, which we say the auto fix of the high confidence events in terms of web intrusion and the phishings directly added within the real-time protection. Now let's talk about the secure internet access gateway. Secure internet access gateway is something which is very important when it comes to the school perspective. So schools have a different network architecture. So they have, different VLANs for teachers, for staffs, for, the Wi-Fi devices or BYODs. Also for the students from different classes, they try to run down with different, VLANs in terms of hostels, or maybe certain other departments they could have. Now it becomes very important to do a baseline check, in terms of authentication, in terms of control, at the endpoint perspective. When it comes to the internet access, SSL decryption is something I can say mostly 80-90% of schools are not doing it. They are not able to achieve from the firewall perspective. And that's where the IEG comes into picture. IEG is something which has become very important for all the schools and universities. And one of the reason is the SSL decryption. That means It's very important to know what students are doing, what kind of search they are doing in terms of searching of bombs or suicide or certain other things. It becomes very critical and important for schools to make sure that they protect the students from such kind of not only just emotionally things, but also in terms of making sure that whatever they're trying to access, they can understand the behavior of the students. And based on the different departments which schools already having, which can help students to come up from such kind of the emotional things can be achievable. So SSL decryption again in very important part in terms of blocking VPNs, in terms of having certain keyword based blocking, which can help to students in terms of monitoring. So application identification, SSL decryption, traffic control is also very important. Most of the hostels, the schools having the hostels, we have seen kids playing online games, trying to stream online. It utilizes huge bandwidth. And depending upon that, we can assign the traffic control. Rather blocking it, we can make sure that there is any minimal, bandwidth allocated for certain application. And then based on that, we can, easily achieve the traffic management and make sure that the entire internet pipe or the internet bandwidth can be utilized. And then we can also audit all kinds of data. Now the IG is also having the capability of monitoring the endpoint, that we will be checking how we do that, and audit all kinds of uploads which are happening. So you can do the in-depth web uploads or web downloads which are happening to all the machines from where the traffic is running down through. That is something we can cover. So from the authentication method, we have various authentication methods. We just don't rely on the active directory LDAP integration single sign-on, but you have the option of social media, you have the option of captive portal, you can do self-registration, you can also do the two-factor authentication, SMS integration, QR code integration. So there are n number of methods which you can use it for the authentication purposes. Authentication for teachers, staffs can be done through single sign-on or active directory LDAP integration. For certain departments or for the guest users, you can create a self portal where they can register so that they can have a very limited access. You can monitor which all things they can access it. The baseline check is again becoming very important. So when it comes to the agent based or agentless, both becomes very, very important. Agent based is where you deploy the client and you can monitor everything, while the agentless is something with the help of SSL certificate you can achieve it very well. And then you can define the controls policies. The unauthorized device controls can be easily stopped with the help of endpoint. Coming to the internet access, as I said, we can do the application identification. We have more than 6,000 plus application, which is weekly updated. Most of the VPNs, we can detect it, very well with the help of, the Sangfor, the separate category defined for proxy tools, whether it is a browser-based proxy tool or an installed app, like FreeVPN or Ultrasoft, we can easily detect those things. And then the traffic control, the intelligent P2P traffic control and dynamic traffic control. We'll be discussing how we can achieve that. And with that, we can also assign the quota and bandwidth management. Also, the data audits can be done in terms of financial losses, legal issues, whatever traffic or data which is going outside, we can also monitor that part from the IG perspective. From the baseline, as I said, we have ingress client, that is the agent base. Now, once you deploy the agent, we can start monitoring everything. We can see the process, the registries, the files, the operating system, whether it is patched or not, what kind of antivirus they're using. We can have the complete mechanism. While for the agentless, we can generate the information in terms of dump endpoints, contractors, guests, which does not require the agent installation. Also, we can make sure that active discoveries can be done. We can also detect the heartbeat rate of the antiviruses. So there's something the passive identifications mechanisms can be achieved from the baselines perspective. From the endpoint control perspective, we can prevent all kinds of bypass of the endpoint control as well as the device control. So unauthorized systems, access or disabling or enabling the functionalities can be done. We can restrict and prohibit the endpoint from unauthorized resource like printers, access, or certain application access, file server access, network storage access, all of that can also be stopped. We can also get down to granular control of external storage and devices when it comes with the agent based installation. And then in terms of application identification, we can recognize almost all the application. We can understand all the packets, TCP, UDP based on port, IP, URL. In terms of defining the policies as well, where you want to just allow a specific app, and if it is running on 443, you can just enable those ports and protocols. That means it gives you a very in-depth filtering, whenever you're defining the policies aspect of application identification. Associated identification in terms of non-standard ports application. Also, we can check the history, across the network traffic. We can identify application by modeling analysis as well. That means the intelligent recognition can also be done. In terms of SSL decryption, now this can be achieved with the ingress client. This can be also achieved with the, without ingress client, that is the clientless. That means Sangfor IG will sit in between the client and the server, that is the internet, and whatever traffic is running down, it will be scanned out with the help of certificate. So no need to install the ingress client on that. But in case if you want to have more in-depth capabilities like auditing the content, just to know that what kind of uploads are happening or how many files are going out of the organization. So a part of DLP can also be covered up from the IG perspective, but it comes with the essential bundle license. Now, this is very important to understand that if you go with the ingress client decryption, it depends upon how many number of client you're looking out for. So in case if you are looking out to achieve a partial NAC, where you want to make sure that the baselines are checked for the endpoints, and you also monitor and audit all the activities before the device connects to the internet, or connects to your organization network infrastructure, and you want to monitor everything, you can do that with the help of this particular thing. So a partial NAC features can also be covered up from the solutions perspective. With this, we also cover up all the data audits of the outgoing channels, whether it is USB, print, SDD, Bluetooth, all the SaaS application, in terms of client server application, operating system maintenance, and then the channel control in terms of device and outgoing, the baseline check, the external device control or outreach control can be also covered up. So once you install the client, the ingress client, you can achieve all of these features. So in case if you are looking out for a NAC solution, or if you are very much checking that, okay, how I can achieve the internet access gateway or secure internet access gateway with the installed client, this is where IEG can help you to achieve both within one single solution. So in terms of bigger picture now, so if you are having multiple schools, so maybe you have different branches in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, and you want to manage as a central policies, central authentication. Also, you want to make sure that entire operation and maintenance for the branch offices has to be done centrally. We can achieve that from Sangfor Central Manager. So Sangfor Central Manager can help you to do the centralized authentication. That means if users are going from one location to another, still they can use the same authentication. It will be centralized completely, and the policies can also be centralized with that. User roaming is something which can be achieved very well. So in terms of synchronizing the user's location, regardless, the authentication synchronizations can be easily achieved. With that, we can also achieve the SMS verifications for the guest, QR code authentication, asset identification, binding IP MAC can also be achieved. So a central authentication approach, in case if you are having the requirement of such things, Sangfor can be again very helpful. Almost 35 to 40% of schools are already on Sangfor IEG because it is something which is pretty much required. In case if you need references or you want to know which all schools are using, you can contact the sales team of Sangfor and they can help you to give the complete information. So IAG is something which is pretty much important for each and every schools. And this is where I can say that in case if you are having the requirement of SSL decryption, if you are facing the challenges of monitoring, or if you're facing the challenges of enforcing the safe search or keyword based blocking, VPN blocking, or looking at the baseline in terms of ingress client or kind of NAC solutions, Sangfor can help you to achieve all of that, with the help of internet access gateway, or we can say secure internet access gateway. So Sangfor also, the access management ecosystem, so which we have already seen. The wireless authentication can also integrate with the platform. We do support different wireless controller, which you can also parallelly integrate. you can assign the captive portal, you can assign the dump endpoints, you can have the register and sign in option as well. So if you want student to use their student ID and an email address as the authentication or authorization, you can also do that. So once they get the authentication page, they have to use their student ID. So with this, you can understand which users are authenticating in terms of a complete authentication approach you can cover. So staff authentication, LDAP, Active Directory definitely could be possible. Guest authentication, you have SMS verification, WeChat QR code scanning, or IoT authentication can be achieved in terms of bind of IP and MAC addresses or asset discovery and identification. We try to discover all the assets to understand Windows machines, to understand Linux, Mac devices, iPads, mobile devices, and based on that, you can understand or you can define the policies. Apart from that, you can also log the users. So if you see that this is something which you don't recognize the device and you want to just lock it, you can log the users as well directly from the IEG console. So in terms of the improved security approach and connection, now something which gives the competitive advantage, when it comes to, so in case if you are already having some third party the web gateways or web proxies, and you want or looking for a replacement, definitely you can go ahead because Sangfor gives you the competitive advantage in terms of Sangfor endpoint, on and off network, centralized management, SSL decryption, stopping the proxy bypassing, all of this, and we can also ensure the policies across the environment in terms of user data exposing to harmful threats. Sangfor IG also have a security capabilities. Again, it comes with the premium license, but once you add up those security capabilities, you can also scan down the malwares. You can also scan down all the CNC communications, the hidden threats, the encrypted traffic. Everything from that perspective. Once you install the certificate, you can monitor everything from that particular perspective. So from the security perspective, also it is again giving you a complete security against the web security or web attacks. So here is the user on and off, how exactly you can manage the IoTs, endpoints, laptops, desktops, different authentication methodologies you can use, different Wi-Fi integrations also available. In terms of access, in terms of control, you can do that. Also in terms of integrations of the third-party devices. So Sangfor integrates with next generation firewall, endpoint, cyber command. You can audit everything in terms of data which is going out of the organization. And then the compliance check can also be done for the endpoint in terms of Windows update, in terms of the antivirus update, or in terms of certain other baseline checks can be achieved very well from the on and off network. Here is what you can achieve from on and off network. So if you see over here, you can check the ingress client. You can check the OS version, process, file, task, registry, unauthorized internet access, patch verification, the domain, Windows account, almost everything. And with that, the crypto mining, the Neuralx gives you that. Same covers with the traffic based also, the antivirus check or antivirus update can also be checked from the perspective of the client list. So this was about the IEG. I hope you would be looking out against using the IEG solution or secure internet access gateway, because there is something which is pretty much required by each and every schools. Coming to our last topic, we'll just take 10 more minutes to give you the brief about the MDR services. Now, one of the reason, according to understanding of the MDR services, now what I feel is MDR is something which is not understood by most of the customers. Why the MDR services are important? Now, MDR is something which will manage all kinds of detections, from your network perspective, from your endpoint perspective, from your cloud perspective, in case you have applications running on the cloud, all of that, and giving you the complete response, whenever you are available or you are not available. Maybe you are on holiday or you are on the offline zone. It will make sure that it has complete predefined technologies to cover up those protection with highly skilled and trained people who are monitoring all of these things and identifying the threat and responding to those threats on behalf of you is something which is pretty much required. So enabling 24 by 7 the security operations in terms of advanced technologies to ensure the accurate threat analysis and identifications, and to cover up the skill gap, the expert teams who are certified with almost all kinds of security certification and threat hunting tools can be very helpful for you to provide a complete protection against most of the known and unknown threats and attacks. So whenever there is an incident, and how you cope up with those incidents, those plans are always lacking with the schools, because every school cannot have a dedicated security expert or security manager or a CISO looking out that part. Definitely budget is one of the constraints, and that's where Sangfor fits in perfectly, because we can provide you end to end within UAE the complete MDR services at a very cost effective solution. Let's see what exactly the MDR can provide you. The detection capabilities, once you have Sangfor Endpoint or Sangfor IG or Sangfor Network Detection and Response, any one of these important tools, you can integrate that telemetries with rest of your own security products into a single platform, where we can analyze with these different security rules. The AI powered machine learning analysis and threat intel analysis can be done. We can investigate through the human touch. Now, most of the other MDR service provider, they don't have, or they rely on their own intelligence techniques, maybe their SOAR platform, maybe their threat intel platform. But we are doing a complete human touch. So every incident of yours would be managed by human, looking at and doing the incident analysis, verification, validation as well, and notifying you, either email or either instant messaging based on the severity score. And in case if the response is something which requires very immediate, the proactive response can also be taken care from the MDR team. So MDR is something which can do a complete end-to-end protection for you, whether it is day, night, or what time the incidents are happening. You can make sure or rest assured that okay, the risk has been transferred and everything would be managed from the perspective of the MDR. This is the architecture. So if you see below are some of the solutions of Sangfor which you need. So if you see over here, just with network secure firewall, we cannot achieve MDR. This is just a one of the tool, but the endpoint secure is something which is very important. Now you might be using some other endpoint as well. No doubt in that. Definitely, if those products you want to continue, that is absolutely fine. We can give you endpoint secure light, because we need something at the endpoint level to respond to most of the incidents which are getting detected. So either if you are already having firewall, you can go with the endpoint secure, which can help you to respond to all the emerging threats or detections happening. With that, in case if you want to enhance your security, you can either go with the STA for the analyzing all the traffics at the detection level, or STA plus cyber command, which can also have the SOAR capabilities in terms of responding. And then XDR is also one of the feature or capabilities we have, the extended detection and response, which can integrate with the help of proxies, most of the firewalls. All of this gets integrated to our security analytics, our neural X and threat intel, the analytics platform and data lake, which is already available. With that, the security GPT is something which is the added module. Customer would have his own security platform or service platform where he can see all the incidents. He can understand what kind of incident has happened, when it had happened, how it happened, all of those information from those platforms. And then every customer would have a direct contact from the customer success manager. A weekly, monthly meeting would be conducted to understand the latest threats and attacks coming to your organization. The best practice policies can also be predefined in terms of one step ahead again, from the the attacker's perspective. And then the analyst team from T1, T2, T3. So the expert team sitting down, the red team and blue team, who would be monitoring all the incidents which is coming to your network. So as I said, you can go with either Cyber Command XDR as an approach for the optimal data source, because next gen firewall or endpoint secure could be a secondary data source. So optimal visibilities can be available at the higher price, but in case if you want to achieve it with the enhanced one, you can go with the endpoint with network secure firewall, or you can get endpoint with the basic network visibility directly from the solutions perspective. So endpoint secure act as a main data source in terms of managing the detection and response. Coming towards some of the comprehensive bundles, so what bundles we can offer basically, depending upon your requirements, you can either go with the MAES bundle. So MAES bundle will include a complete feature where you have the Endpoint Secure with Ultimate Edition, Endpoint Secure Manager license, and the MDR service included. So just in case if you are looking to have the Endpoint Secure perspective of managed detection and response, so if you're running down a critical servers, and you want to make sure that you cover the complete security for those critical servers, yes, we can do that with the help of MES bundle. In case if you want to add up one more thing as a network visibility, we can integrate our STA. So STA can help you to generate all the raw data as a port mirroring from the core switch, and then correlating this traffic and the metadata from the contextual level events. With that, you can also go with one more bundle, which is Cyber Command with Endpoint Secure. So this is where the fields and visibilities and some of the customers, depending upon what exactly their requirement is, we can have multiple deployment option. I have a complete sheet of this which I can share with you, and you can cover it up. Okay, so where exactly you can position. So that's it from my presentation. In case if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Great. So if you don't have any questions, so let me move to the platform. Okay. So we'll start with IEG first, because it's something which is pretty much important to give you a complete glimpse of how exactly the IEG looks like. Okay, so I have some question. Do you have any data insurance in India services? Okay, Samshad. Yes, right now we are again looking out to tie up with certain insurance. Right now we are not providing, but because this requires certain compliances to be covered up, in from the perspective of the MDR services. So as a data insurance, we are not providing, but one thing which we are providing is unlimited incident response. That means if you go with Sangfor MDR services, it does not, you don't have to go ahead to purchase the additional the incident response part. The incident response in terms of recovering the entire thing will be done through the Sangfor. Well, we are not covering any DLP features right now from the perspective of Endpoint Secure. The Endpoint Secure, which we have designed, is specifically to protect against most of the advanced malwares, and it is only meant to that, because when you add the DLP component, when you add certain other components, the system resource will be huge utilized. We want to make sure that the Endpoint Secure remains light without affecting the performance. We want to make sure that we cover the 360-degree approach from our Neural X and Cloud Threat Intel. I'll be showing you that as well from Afzal. Okay, what exactly Sangfor Engine Zero? Okay, so Engine Zero is basically our the AI based detections. I will be sharing you the complete details in case if you are looking at. So in the presentation we have already covered up what exactly the Sangfor the Neural X and the Engine Zero cover up. So it's basically the AI based malware inspection. It mostly relies on the AI based engine in terms of detecting. So that is something which can help in terms of detecting most of the attacks in terms of the AI based. It does not just rely on the signature sets basically. So Engine Zero is something which is having almost 500 plus ransomware families are trained on it. It has its own tools and tactics in terms of detecting the behaviors of most of the threats and attacks. Okay, so thank you, Samshad. Thank you, Mohammed, for your questions. Okay, so let's start with the demo. I know you guys are being very long with me, but I just want to showcase you a few of the very important part. This is how the dashboard looks like, from the perspective of IEG. So Internet Access Gateway is something which is pretty much required by every schools, as of now. So here you can run down to check all the status in terms of endpoint visibilities. You can check all the endpoints. When it comes to the devices, more specifically, you can view the devices based on Windows, based on Mac, Linux, thin client, mobile phones, tablets, routers, switches. We also try to generate the information about the dump endpoints like VoIP devices, barcode scanners, smart TV, POS, different medical equipment. So it has very clear information about each and every devices. You can generate directly from here. You can, if you want to know the more information, you can run down with the complete information of the devices, and here you can see the entire informations about whether the ingress client is installed or not, MAC address, endpoint model number, endpoint vendor informations, the open ports for this particular endpoint, as well as the endpoint secure, that is the antivirus informations. You can also do the endpoint check, that is the baseline checks. Directly from here, you can define the groups. You can check the traffic. So we have different options available. Top traffic by users, flow control. If you're defining the quota usage, we can also check that based on what kind of quotas are available. We can generate all of that information directly from here. This is for inbound and outbound traffic or the bi-directional traffic, which you can generate in terms of flow control. All the internet activities which is running down, you can view with the complete detailed information about what kind of URLs are being accessed. It will also show you the different category, whether it is coming under website category. Okay, we have few more questions. Reports are available for how many days under portal. Okay. Reports are available. So if you go for cloud, the 30 days is something which we try to generate the reports. But if you go for the solutions, on-prem solution, it depends upon the database size which you are providing. Mostly for hardware devices like firewalls, and firewall is having capabilities because it has inbuilt hard disk, while IEG is also having the capabilities because it has storage inbuilt. For the endpoint secure, if you want to go for the on-prem, you can assign the database size, and then based on that you can generate the reports. For cloud, we try to keep it for 30 days. Okay, so we are not, we cannot say that we are a NAC, complete NAC, but IEG can cover up some of the important key features. So IEG can cover up something features like baseline check. So baseline check, you can easily generate all the informations about the Windows, the OS informations, the antivirus update informations. You can also check and audit all the data which is going out from the devices, and before the device connects to the environment, where when the authentication methods is happening, in terms of authentication, authorization, auditing, and accountability can be achieved, from the perspective of IEG. So ingress client is something which is pretty much required. This understanding you need to keep it. If in case you cannot install the ingress client, then only endpoint check can be done from the perspective of the antivirus. So from the endpoint perspective, so endpoint check here, right now I don't have anything to showcase you, but here you can check the different rule names. You can generate all the details, the username information from the endpoint check perspective. Okay, so I have few more questions. Okay, Abzal. What I can do is you can send me individual emails, or in case if you have the opportunities where you are looking out that, okay, customer is looking for the internet or web proxy internet access gateway. And if he wants secure internet access gateway, that means he also looking for NAC component. Definitely, we can easily add up, the NAC component with our solutions. Okay. So we have limited time, but yeah, let me showcase you. So this is the SaaS platform where you can monitor all the applications. Now coming down to the access management, we already seen we have different options to do the access management. We have the option of self registrations for the endpoint. We have the options of different authentication methods like the web authentications, or from the authentication server perspective, you can add up multiple. So SMS based, WeChat, QR code, LDAP, Radius, POP3, the social media, also third-party authentication, OAuth, and SAML 2.0 is also supported. With that, we have the option of controllers. You can integrate the third-party appliances as well, or in case if you have Sangfor appliances, we can also integrate that part directly from the solutions perspective. Okay. Then the radius server integration, MAC address acquisition, the endpoint checks in terms of the ingress client. You can define the policies. You can define what all things you want to check from the the endpoint perspective, and where exactly you want to apply this. You can also generate all of that information. This is just one example of the inbound rule which is predefined over here, but you can have the complete checks of traffic based. You can define the ingress client settings as well, in terms of 802.1x or in terms of portal authentication, if you want to define, as well as in terms of downloading it. You have multiple options from where you can easily download the client and push it to the rest of the users. And then once it is done, you can do all the access controls, in terms of, I'll just show you the keyword based identifications can be achieved. You can define almost all the application. We have almost 6,000 plus predefined applications already there in our access control. If and you can also drill down, to in depth. So maybe if you are looking out for, let's say, Facebook, you have multiple options of browse, post, upload attachment, Facebook mail, messenger, video, live apps. So you have so many options available just for one single app. So you can go more in depth in terms of allowing and denying that part. With that, you have different services, so you can add up the ports and protocols which you want to allow. So you can define the groups of ports and protocols for that application. You can also define, the proxies part as well. You can define the keyword search directly from here. You can define the file type. So in case if you don't want user to download MP4 or certain other files, you can also define that to block it. Also, the email part can also be covered up with this particular thing. So this is where you can generate all of the informations from the single perspective. So this is just one example where you have the keyword based and it is already defined as one of the word which can be detected and rejected. Okay. Then you have the DLP for all the outgoing files, the sensitive files you can define. Now this can only be achieved with the ingress client. Okay. So this is very, very important. We have the option of SSL decryption dedicatedly. So in case from FortiGate firewall or maybe some certain other, sorry, I took the name, but any other firewall brand, you are using and you are not able to achieve the SSL encryption, you can achieve that very well from the Sangfor IAG. Bandwidth management also is the option which you can achieve, where you can do the quota control, DNS proxy, bandwidth channel, all of that from this particular thing. Okay. So from the audit perspective, you can define what exactly the client you want to audit, what all informations you want to audit, and it will generate a complete brief information about the client. So you can do USB and portable hard disk, print, browser, as well as decryption for the client traffic. So wherever the client is, if the client is installed automatically, you can start inspecting, because the client is already installed, we can generate all of the information, from the ingress client. So this is what you can achieve from the NAC perspective. From the internet perspective, you can run down with all the internet activities, the flow, duration, web content, application, everything directly from here. Okay. And then coming down to the endpoint management, there is a security component. As I said, the complete security capabilities can be achieved in terms of malware detection, endpoint secure, patch check, malicious URLs, Sangfor, engine zero. Again, very much effective in terms of verifying the infected files, anti-DDoS. So as a security component, you can also add up this as a complete, security part. So Sangfor NeuralX is something which can integrate with the IG in terms of doing all the advanced threats, known and unknown threats. Okay. So this is the IG and the features and components which you will be getting. So I hope I have covered most of the points from the IG perspective. If there is no question, then with this we will be finishing our today's webinar. I hope it was informative for you and for your customers. In case customers have joined, they have understood what IG or the firewall or endpoint secure can help you with. And pretty glad that you guys have joined. And we will be conducting the regular webinars. Our next webinar is on May 1. And we will be doing a dedicated webinar for MDR services, where I will be showcasing you the MDR platform. So please do join, that as well. And definitely we will be covering up Trial license, please, Samshad, you can send me the email. I will avail you the trial license for the cloud platform, as well as we will help you to, configure and deploy it. So no worries in that. You can send me the email. In case if you don't have email, you can reach me on my WhatsApp. I will help you to generate the trial keys for the endpoint secure. Okay, thanks everyone. Thank you everyone. And I hope I look forward for our next webinar. We will be conducting on May 1, and hopefully you will be getting invite very soon. In case not, you can follow me on LinkedIn where I'm posting all the upcoming webinars, and definitely we can catch up in our NDR session, which will be on May 1st. Thank you so much everyone. With this, I will be signing off. In case if you have anything, please feel free to reach me.